Hello YouTubers and fellow hams. I have arrived at my destination. This is where I am. The Titan Missile Museum in Green Valley, south of Tucson, Arizona, where there is an actual Titan missile silo and bunker, and you can have tours of it. But that's not why I'm here. There are many videos out there on the YouTube about the Titan Missile Museum. No, what I'm here for is over there, and we're gonna go take a look at it. This is what I'm here for. The high frequency discone or disc cage antenna built by Collins Radio Corporation for the military back in 1963. Look at that beast. Let's talk for a moment about what discone antennas are. So what is a discone antenna anyway? Well, as the name implies, it's a configuration that's designed of a disc and a cone shape. And the advantages of this antenna are that it's extremely broad-banded. Now the theory that I've been reading about behind why it works that way, if we look at a simple cross-section here of one side of a discone, the RF spreads out on the disc and finds a point where the distance down to the element of the cone is approximately a quarter wavelength, and there's a resonance there. And electricity finds the path of least resistance, so that's where the antenna resonates. So what happens is, over that distance where the cone overlays the disc, or where the disc overlays the cone, you have a broad frequency that you can operate at. And the military likes broadbanded antennas for HF. You've probably seen discone antennas used in scanning, for scanning reception, or VHF, UHF communications, and so on. You know, and it's because, well, they're small. At those frequency ranges, you can make them relatively small. If you're getting into HF, they become quite large, and they're a very complicated construction, as we'll see now. Let's go take a look at some of the pictures that I shot of the discone and talk about its design. Now the HF discone at the Titan Missile Museum, as pictured here, is massive. It's like 73 or 74 feet tall, and that outer hoop diameter is 50 feet 6 inches, which is, well, I'll put the metric measurements here on the screen somewhere for the rest of you guys. So it's huge, and I took some close-up shots of it because I wanted to see the construction. Up here at the top, we can see the feed point when it's fed as a discone. And I said when it's fed as a discone because it's actually two antennas in one, but more about that later. The top mounting plate and the bottom mounting plate, you can see, are isolated by some kind of insulating pillars here. And the coax feed comes in on the side and goes into there and connects to those 2 points somewhere in there. The bottom of the antenna has a brass colored ring. I don't know if it's actually brass, where all of the cables come down and connect to, and this is actually another feed point. As I said, this is two antennas in one, and we can look at a graphic here. When it's fed up at the top, it's a discone, and its operational range is from around 6 megahertz up through 30, or a little higher probably. When it's fed from the bottom, it acts more like a caged vertical antenna. And there is actually a radio field. If we look at the bottom base here, there is chicken wire that's coming out over that concrete. And I was told by my guide that the radio field extends out under the ground for when it's in the vertical configuration. And in the vertical configuration, they could use it from about 3 megahertz up to somewhere in the middle of the HF spectrum. So they had a relay box here at the bottom that had a relay to switch the feed point from the top or the bottom that was remotely controlled in the silo. And there's some other pictures and photos I took of the general construction of it here that we'll look through real quick. So this is one of the telescoping HF antennas. Telescoping mast, and it can go up as high as how much, Chuck?
I believe 117 feet is the maximum, and I think 20 feet or so is the minimum.
Which is what it looks like it's at now. 117 feet.
Yeah.
And that just comes right up out of the ground.
Yeah, telescopes together.
And then this had an automatic tuning system on it, as I think I read somewhere.
That's right. You can take a look at that in the control center.
Excellent. And that's where we're going to go, is the control center. I was being toured around the site by Chuck Penson, WA7ZZE. He's one of the employees there at the museum, and you've heard him talking a little bit in some of those clips. Well, we went down in the silo to take a look at the radio equipment that they used to communicate, and I did a little interview with him. We just chatted a little bit about what he does there and about the radios and the equipment that's used in the silo to control the antennas and do the communications. All right, so I'm here with Chuck, and your call sign?
WA7ZZE.
And you've been a volunteer at the museum for how long?
Well, I've been here for, let's say this, I've been here for 25 years.
Yes.
I was a volunteer for the first couple of years. After that, I was hired as the museum's archivist and historian.
That sounds like a fun job. You get to look at all the good stuff.
Oh yeah, I get I get all the instruction manuals up there. So,
yeah, except for the discone.
Except for the discone. We have general information on the discone in that particular TO, but we don't have the actual here's how to install it kind of book for that.
Right, right. So we were out looking at the discone, and there was some interesting things that I noticed that you explained. I was expecting the ring to be isolated from the wires that came to the ground, but we discovered why that's not. It's actually two antennas in one.
That's right.
And we opened up a box there at the base that used to contain a relay that did what?
So the relay would switch between what parts of the antenna you were using. We're using the folded cage monopole, 3 to 6 megahertz, or the discone, 6 to 30 megahertz.
Right.
And with push buttons over on the console here, you could select between those two frequency ranges. So that little box had a relay in there, which is long.
Which switched the feeds lines. Yeah. I've been putting images up over this while you've been
Yeah.
talking about it. And also that does have a grounded radio field that we noticed with that chicken wire coming over the concrete.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's for when it's in the cage vertical kind of
Right, on the
configuration.
low frequency.
Low frequency configuration, yeah. So they really thought that through. They had quite a
They
few.
did. That was made by Collins, of course, installed probably late in 62 or early in 63.
Because the base went live in 1963.
Right. This particular complex went online July the 15th, 1963. So this is the HF equipment right here. This is a General Dynamics SC901X transceiver, nominally 100 watts output, made originally by Stromberg Carlson, and then of course General Dynamics acquired Stromberg Carlson at some point. You can dial in the frequency you want right here, and then down here is the linear amplifier for that. You know, I'm embarrassed that I can't remember the make of this one. General Dynamics also. So it's a kilowatt output. Here, they never use the exciter by itself. They always just arbitrarily use it with the amplifier. Unfortunately, all we have are the front panels. The Air Force took all the radio equipment with them when they left. So
Nothing but front panels and a few lights that are wired up to glow.
Yeah. So how this relates to the big disc gauge antenna up there is that you can press one of these two buttons right here, depending on what frequency you're using. So you press this one, and it engages the folded cage monopole side of the antenna, and you press this one, 6 to 30 megahertz, and it engages the discone part of the antenna. So that's all selected from right here. There's a watt meter and a reflected power meter up here. That's pretty much all there is to it.
Yeah.
Originally, this whole cabinet was down on the level below us, and it was remotely tuned with a set of controls that are right over here on what's called the A-lock, or the alternate launch officer's console. So if you were to take this little cover off right here, the matching tuning knobs on the SC901X are right under here. So they could control the tuning from this down there. These are just controls for the radio systems. This is the control and the tuner for the HF hardened telescoping antenna that we saw topside.
Right.
So what you can do is you just dial in the frequency with this little dial right here, and you press the activate button.
And then the tuning network would do its thing.
Right, and then when it's ready, the green light turns on, and away you go.
Yeah. And they allow hams to come out like me and hook up to the antenna. You just have to go to the visitor center and sign the book first. And how many do you think you get a month or a week or a year?
You know, almost any week you come down here, you can see somebody there from one time or another using it.
So at least once a week?
At least once a week, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, when it's contest season, you know, some of the big contests, the local club likes to use it for contesting.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I've run the 10-meter contest on it myself. It's a fabulous antenna.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you'll see it. You've seen the photographs, and we'll be operating on it ourselves here in a little while. And go to the club website. I'll have a link to that in the video description below. And they have photographs of them using it with contesting and further information on it. And we're walking around the silo right now and looking around here. But I'm going to go out and we're going to hook up to the antenna, and we're going to operate for a little while. Chuck, thank you very much for the quick tour.
Pleasure.
All right, nice talking with you, sir. Now, there's other videos out there on YouTube of people operating on this antenna. Any amateur radio operator that's licensed and can operate on HF, general class or higher, or you know whatever your license is if you're a tourist coming from another country, you can operate on this antenna. The local amateur radio club, the Green Valley Amateur Radio Club, provides a little box at the edge of the parking lot, over in the overflow parking lot. And there's a picnic table right there, and inside that box is a coil of coax that is hooked to the top of the antenna, fed in a discone configuration. Now, I did some VNA sweeps of it, and we'll take a look at those in a moment. But I can tell you that you can definitely operate on most of the amateur bands without a tuner. It just, you know, the SWR is below 2 to 1, sometimes below 1.5 to 1. In fact, it was very good on 40 meters. If you're going to go visit the museum and you're a ham, make some time for that and bring a radio along. All you need to do is go into the visitor center and sign the logbook, and you can go down and hook up to the antenna and play with it, get on the air with it. I did make some contacts. I had promised my guys on the Facebook page and over on Patreon that I'd be hooking up to the antenna and let them know when I was on the air. But unfortunately, well, it was a contest day. So I didn't get a lot of contacts. The major bands were completely end-to-end with CQ contest, and I'm not a contester. I just don't get interested in that. But I did manage to make about 6 contacts on 17 meters with guys. But that really wasn't my point of the visit. I wasn't there to spend a day on the antenna making contacts. I was there to learn about the antenna. Still, I did capture a little bit of media of a couple of the contacts. But first, let's look at the VNA sweeps. I used my blue mini VNA, and this is the full HF spectrum. And you can see we come down around 4 megahertz, but we really don't get down much below 3 to 1 until we get closer to 6 megahertz, which is about here. So right there, we're just above 2 to 1. And it comes right down. And you'll notice, unlike other antennas you might sweep, we're staying pretty much below 3 to 1. It's not flat, but it's a little, up and down, but it's not that much above 2 to 1 for most of the antenna. Now, bear in mind, this antenna was built in 1962, and it has been up without maintenance since then. So that's a lot of years that it's been up in the weather. I'm sure that there are some joints and connections that could be better, but overall, it's not bad. So then I went ahead and I swept the individual bands. This is looking at around 40 meters, and which is right about here. And you can see, it's well below 1.5 to 1. And I saw that on the radio too when I was on 40 meters. You can run 40 meters without a tuner. Let's see, that was the bottom edge of where I saw it get under 2 to 1, was at 6.037 megahertz. This is looking a little closer in, and here's 7 megahertz to around here is 40 meters, and as you can see, it's right down there. It's well below 1.5 to 1, so no problems operating on 40. 30 meters, you might need a tuner. This jaggediness here is probably local RF from radio stations or shortwave or something interfering with it, but just look at the overall shape. And 30 meters is right around here, and so we're looking at around 2.5 to 1. You could probably still operate without a tuner. It's getting a little tight. You might want to tweak it. 20 meters, we're under 2 to 1 for 20 meters, right about in here. Let's see, 18 megahertz. This is 17 meters. No, we're getting up close to 3 to 1 here on 17 meters, so you probably would need your tuner there. 15 meters, again, you might need to use the tuner. We're just above 2 to 1 here, probably about 2.3, 2.4 to 1 for 15 meters. So you might need to use a tuner on 15. In practice, I found with the radio, it actually was reading under 2 to 1 on the radio, so it's close. 12 meters, again, right around 2 to 1. And 10 meters, we're looking again right around 2 to 1 SWR. So you might need to tweak with your tuner a little bit there, but it's really close on all the bands. I also went ahead just for grins and giggles, looked at 6 meters, and it's looking around 2 to 1. I don't know how well it would radiate there. And just to be insane, I swept it on 2 meters, but even though the SWR was low, and I did hook the radio up and try it on 2, I couldn't get out. I couldn't even hit the local repeater, so it's acting like a dummy load on 2 meters. So there you go. Those are the VNA sweeps of the antenna. Let's go and listen to a contact or two. Kilo Yankee 4 Romeo. I think I got that right. Can just barely make you out. Can barely make you out. I'd say you're about a 4-1. 4-1. Over. Roger, roger, roger. I copy, I copy, I copy. You're about a 4-1, a 4-1, a 4-1. Over.
Roger, roger. You're about the same 4-1 and What was the suffixes? Kilo Bravo 9 Romeo Lima, and I didn't get the last.
Yeah, it's Kilo Bravo 9 or Romeo Lima Whiskey. Romeo Lima Whiskey. The name is Kevin. Kevin. I'm in southwestern Arizona in Green Valley at the Titan Missile Museum, hooked up to the Air Force's old HF discone antenna. Over.
Okay, it's Kilo Bravo 9 Romeo Lima. What do you say, whiskey?
Roger that. Romeo Lima Whiskey, and the name is Kevin. What's my report? Over.
Okay, that is about 5859 here in Washington State, city of Longview. And the name and the handle here is Doug, Delta Oscar Uniform Golf. Over.
Yeah, very good, Doug. I don't know if you copied, but I am hooked up to the old Air Force HF discone antenna that was here at the Titan Missile Silo in Green Valley, Arizona. Over.
Okay, well, I'm coming up. I'm still not getting the right call because I come up with somebody in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Over.
No, that's me. That's me. I live in an RV and I'm traveling around the West right now. Over.
Okay, all right. Where are you located at now?
Green Valley. It is south of Tucson. South of Tucson. Well, I've been at it for a little over an hour. And as you can see, 17 meters end-to-end signals. It's hard to find a gap. I've been bouncing around on the different bands, the work bands mostly. I did drop down to 40, which was relatively quiet, being midday, of course, but I didn't find any locals. And I'm pretty wiped out. I think I'm going to take a break, and maybe I'll get back on here in a little bit or not. I don't know. The main point of this video was to take a look at the antenna itself, which we've done. And I've made 6 contacts so far in the log. All on 17 meters, so you know that was somewhat successful, and a couple of viewers in there. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just shut the radio down here for a little bit, maybe take a little cat nap, and then get back on again. Nobody else wants to use the antenna, so I guess it's mine for the afternoon. The Titan II Handbook, a Civilian's Guide to the Most Powerful ICBM America Ever Built, 3rd edition by Chuck Penson. This is an amazing book. If you are at all interested in the Titan missile or the silos, this is definitely worth your time. He covers everything about this silo and, you know, the missiles and the construction of it. Let's take a look in here a little ways down. Well, there you go. There's a complete layout of the site. Construction photos when they were building it. Where's the antenna? Where's the antenna? Where's the antenna? It's right up here near the beginning. This book, there it is. He has a picture of the antenna and he talks about it a little bit, including He has information on the hardened HF antennas, the telescoping antennas, and the tuning system that popped them up and tuned them. He has information on the other antennas and radio systems at the site. Look at this. This is a more detailed drawing of the shock absorbers in the silo. The VLF antennas, there were VLF antennas that are installed underground. They had microwave antennas for satellite reception, all kinds of information in here. Information on the radar system for intrusion detection on the silo itself. This is an incredible book, guys. It's absolutely amazing. Information on the construction and wiring and the radio gear, the transmitters and receivers, the launch and control systems, the escape hatch, the silo itself with information about it. It's incredible. Everything you might need to know about this silo. I'm going to spend days and days and days. And then information on the missile. Complete breakdown of the missile. I'm going to spend days and days and days on this thing. The general launch procedure, what the thing did when it went up in the air. The guidance systems, complete breakdowns of all of it. And it's just, and look at this at the back. Now this is really cool. Fold out technical drawings, layout drawings of the site. Engineering details on the site. It's incredible. So much information in this book. So yeah, the Titan II handbook. This is, if you're interested in this place or any of these silos, this is definitely worth your while. I'll put a link in the description down below to Chuck's website and to the Amazon link to buy this book if you're interested in the book. It's worth it. It's amazing. So there you go. That is the Collins-made HF discone antenna at the Titan Missile Museum in Green Valley, Arizona. It's about 24 miles south of Tucson off of I-19. So if you're in the Tucson area and you're a ham, definitely go down and take the tour at the museum and bring a radio along to play on the antenna. It's a heck of a thing to see the silo. I took some extra photos when I was in there, just being a little artsy because it was just such a fascinating place. And a little side note, the platforms that come out to the side of the missile, and it's an actual Titan missile that's been obviously disabled, but there's platforms that come out to the side of it. I took a picture of one here. It was either this platform or the one below where this scene was filmed. And those of you that are Trekkies will remember this scene from the movie First Contact. Yes, several of those scenes in that movie were filmed there at the silo. So I was standing just feet away from where Brent Spiner and Patrick Stewart stood as Picard touched the side of Zephyr Cochrane's first warp ship. So that was kind of cool. I got little goosebumps there, but I'm a complete nerd, so you know that was neat. But anyway, it's a heck of a place to see. It's a heck of a tour to take to walk around inside of an actual Titan missile silo that's mostly intact. I mean, it's as it was when there were guys stationed there and you know, spending time manning the silo. It's really something to see. It's worth the tour. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're not already a subscriber, click to subscribe. Join us on the Facebook channel for discussion about the videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please click to support me on my Patreon page.